Right guys, Happy New Year, and with any new year obviously there's going to be new products. This one's no different, and one product that we're all quite excited about is Raptor. And before I talk about how to use this stuff and how to splice it in particular, I think we ought to talk about what this material is for. Now obviously it's great for leaders, so solid bag leaders, or nice little short solid bag leaders, right up to fishing in very, very demanding situations. It's worth pointing out that this stuff was designed to be woven as tightly and as round as humanly possible, but keeping a low diameter. What that means is the abrasion resistance on this stuff is absolutely next level. So you've got a 60-pound breaking strain, which obviously putting something to exert 60 pound of pressure on something is nigh on impossible with a fishing rod with a bend in it. But the key thing is the abrasion resistance, all right? So obviously, as I said, the way that it's woven means that this will stand up to shells, rocks, snags, anything that, any challenging situation that you find yourself in, as well as just using it conventionally. So it is an all-round material, but it's up to the job. Now, I would say that this stuff is straight out the pack. It's kind of semi-stiff. It's supple, don't get me wrong, yeah? It is supple, but it carries almost a semi-stiff quality. Now, that will change in the water. So once it's been in the water, it will soften up a little bit. And you can also manipulate it just by spinning the fibres a little bit. It's actually brilliant for rigs, which I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you a rig. So, for places like Rainbow, stuff like that, where a spliced rig or anywhere that is challenging and you need maximum strength, perfect. And you can actually manipulate the fibres just at the back behind the hook to create a hinge, like you would do, like you'd expect with a conventional kind of combi rig, that kind of thing, but with no breaks or anything in the material. So we'll have a look at that in a minute. But first and foremost, splicing this stuff. Now, it is not anything material is different to splicing your regular lead cores or your regular chain cores, that kind of thing. There's a few really handy tips that I hope will help you. The main thing is the Katran green needle. So before you start your splice, you need to know how much you need to splice and sort of like your minimum and maximum splice lengths, if you like. Now, because it's so thin, you really don't need a big splice. I'm personally very, very cagey about small splices. On chain core, for example, I like a decent sized splice, but that's because the material has got a very thick core, once the chain, very hollow core and a wide diameter once the chain's gone. With this stuff, it is so thin, 0.9 millimeters is thin. You can get away with a, for the purpose of this, we will show you a 25mm splice, but you could get away with shorter. What that means is, yes, it's not the easiest stuff on the planet to splice, but because you've only got to do such a small one, it actually is really easy. So your needle comes into play here. The length of the needle itself to the plastic of the green Katran tool is exactly, I would go, personally myself, I would go just over where the plastic starts. That's exactly the length you need to start your splice, okay? So all you've got to do is do that, pinch it, and then start your splice. Now, the key thing with splicing any material, any thin material that's a bit tough to get the needle up, is to make sure that rather than, once you've got it in, so just putting the needle in there, there she goes. Once you've got it in, resist the temptation to push the needle up and push the material onto the needle rather than holding the material and pushing the needle up, because that's where you'll run into bother. So as you push down on the material, it creates it sort of bunches it up, which creates space. And it will enable you just to tease this material onto the needle. And then once it's on there, you want to be going down. There's a taper on the needle. So the top part of the Katran needle has a 25mm tapered bit, right, before it opens out. That's all you need to put on there, okay, is a 25mm. Pop it out. Put your tag end in as you normally would, and guys, don't leave a big tag coming out because you've got to pull that through. So try and get that nice and flush. and then pull this through. And the nice thing with these Katran needles is there's a little knuckle on here which you can use to pop over the splice you've just made and pull it tight. Trim off any tag ends and you're away to go. So, as I said, it's a cracking material. It is a specialist material in my opinion, although you can use it for anything, but it will not let you down in for rigs, for leaders, for anything like that. It really isn't going to let you down. So we will, before I go, just have a look at a rig, and I'll explain to you what I mean about how you can manipulate the fibres to make a soft section. If you look at this rig here, you can see it's kind of semi-stiff in a short section. Now, if I just grab hold of it, give it a bit of a wiggle, instantly I've got a hinge. Yeah, so absolutely bang on for spliced rigs. I mean, that there's a size 3J precision, LG, tungsten kicker, dead easy to change the, to change your hooks, keep going forever. And that's probably one thing that's worth mentioning as well, guys, is when you've made your leaders, they will last you forever. They will last you a long time unless you have them there and you crack off or something like that, because it's such a durable material. So yeah, that's Raptor, 10 metre spools, 60 pound breaking strain, 0.9 millimeters in diameter, absolutely beautiful. So yeah, get on it this year, lads, and let us know what you think.